So this is, once again, shout out to Bob Copel. This is what the report's going to look like. So it is a finger stick. So we'll get a couple drops of blood. We'll send it to the lab out in Boston. They'll run the report, and then they'll send me back the report, which is going to look like this. So I can drop ship this to you. So I see probably 30 to 50% of my patients via telemed video chat. So I can ship this to your home, or we can do it in the office. Like I said, it's a simple finger stick where we're getting blood droplets. So Dad's report came back very high. These 4+ reactions are the most severe. So he came back high for cow's milk, whey, chili peppers, moderate for casein, egg yolk, spirulina, and mild for egg whites, tea black tea, and flaxseed. So the general recommendation is to remove all the foods on page 1. Once again, 4+ reactions are severe, moderate are the 3+, and the 2 are mild. So depending on the symptoms, we're going to remove these foods, and hopefully the inflammatory load in the body will go down, because that's what this test is testing for. Food inflammation test is the FIT test by KBMO. So that's page 1. Page 2 is a graphical representation of page 1. You see the red is higher, the orange is moderate, and the yellow is less severe. So these are all the foods that are tested on this 132 food sensitivity report. The main reason I chose this test is because of page 3. So most food sensitivity tests do not check the gut barrier, but gut health is so important. If you haven't watched my video on the GI map, go back and watch that. It talks a lot about the microbiome, how that modulates the immune system, and how important our gut health is for our overall health. So this gives a couple markers that gives us information on our gut health. So Dad came back double positive for Candida. So IgG is more severe than IgA. So he basically has Candida overgrowth in his gut. If you have Candida overgrowth, that oftentimes creates gas, bloating, indigestion, just belly pain. Candida overgrowth, very typical in today's society with our standard American diet. So the recommendation, if Candida comes back high, is to remove processed foods, carbs, and sugars. Candida loves to feed on carbs and sugar. So we remove those. We're going to recommend a whole natural foods diet: chicken, fish, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, cooking with olive oil. Stay away from the processed foods. God made our body, and he also made these whole natural foods to fuel our body. If we're putting these man-made chemicals into our body, it's not going to run optimally. I often like to use the analogy of a car. If you go out and spend $100,000 on a car, you're going to want to put the best fuel into it. So our bodies are much more valuable than a car. So we want to put those whole natural foods into our body that God made to fuel our body, right? So Candida overgrowth, remove the sugars and the carbs. Zonulin is a marker of leaky gut, also called intestinal permeability. If that intestine becomes permeable, so if the tight junctions open up, food particles and chemicals can seep through that leaky gut, and right behind the gut barrier is our bloodstream. So these things can get into our bloodstream, and that's basically how the immune system reacts to these. So Dad had Candida overgrowth, leaky gut, as denoted by the zonulin, and his LPS, lipopolysaccharide, was also activated. So lipopolysaccharide is a bacteria that can get in through the leaky gut, and it can wreak havoc on the metabolism of a human being. So Dad's protocol was fairly simple. We advised a whole natural foods diet, remove simple sugars, excessive carbs. For the zonulin and the lipopolysaccharide, I recommended a supplement that I prescribe quite a bit. It's called Megaspore Biotic. It's a probiotic that will zap that lipopolysaccharide and help keep that gut nice and tight. So just a quick overview. KBMO report, food sensitivity report. Remember, that's a little different from allergies. Food sensitivities are generally more subtle, but can create some weird symptoms that you may not be getting answers to. And it could be something simple as a food sensitivity. So page 1 are the foods we always recommend. Remove all the foods on page 1. Once we remove these foods and heal that gut, oftentimes we can reintroduce these foods 6 months later. So generally, I recommend to remove them for 6 months and then do a food reintroduction process where you reintroduce these foods one at a time every 3 to 4 days and track your symptoms. If any of your symptoms come back, then the recommendation is to remove that food again. So that's basically what we do. Page 1 is the high reaction foods. Page 2 is a graphical representation. These are all the foods that are tested. And then page 3, which is one of the main components of this test, is that gut barrier panel. And that's why I chose this test. It's not only checking for food sensitivities, it's also checking for gut health. Gut health is very important. Once again, this Candida shows Candida overgrowth, very common in today's society. Zonulin denotes leaky gut. If that gut is leaky, those tight junctions aren't nice and tight, it can become permeable. Food particles and chemicals can leak into that bloodstream and wreak havoc. Lipopolysaccharide is another bacteria that can leak into that bloodstream via the leaky gut. So once again, we treated Dad with a whole natural foods diet and the Megaspore biotic. And then generally we'll want to retest this in 6 to 12 months. So with functional medicine, the foundation are the 5 modifiable lifestyle factors. Those are sleep, nutrition, stress, relationships, and exercise. If we can nail those 5 things, a lot of times people get better simply by those things. So this is a really good tool to help us identify foods that are causing problems, and it's as simple as removing them. So if you or one of your family members is having problems, non-specific diagnoses, symptoms that just don't make sense, reach out to me, shoot me a message. I'd love to chat, get to know you. You can go to my website, willcopel.com, to make an appointment. I'd love to chat, get to know you, and get you feeling better. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.